everybody. Welcome to T.O.'s Roadhouse. So good to have y'all back. Drew Baldridge is in the house.
Hey.
How are you, man?
Glad to be here, man.
Man, it's so nice to finally meet you and get a chance to sit down and visit. I've been excited about having a conversation, man. You've had a good run the last year, man. Things have been good for you.
Such a life-changing year. You know, I've been in Nashville for 14 years trying to
overnight success.
Yeah, overnight. Trying to chase this, man. And, you know, to finally have success in the last year of radio play and, you know, being out on the road now. And we were just talking right before we jumped on here, getting in our first bus and what that life's like. And man, it's been a big blessing. Even just being on this podcast with you, man. I'm a huge fan of you and what you've paved the way for so many artists and you know, your independency too of you know, owning your buses. We were talking about owning your songs, and the way that you've built your career is just so inspiring. So being here, it's awesome. It's like a dream, man. This is amazing.
That's awesome, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. When you came here 14 years ago, what were your expectations of Nashville, and how did it live up to what you thought it was going to be? Because it's kind of a scary thing. Had you been here previously before you came, or kind of give me the process?
I came down. I had a cousin that was in the industry of publishing, and so I would come down and I would stay at his house and try to write songs and meet people. I did that for about a year. I'd come down once a month for a week.
Yeah.
And try to meet people and go out and go to writers' rounds and, you know, go up to everybody I thought was good and be like, hey, here's my number. Like, let's try to write next time I'm back in town. And I did that for about a year, and then I moved at 19. So I did that right when I graduated high school for a year. I'd come down. I was in college. My mama didn't want me to drop out of college to move to be a singer, you know.
I understand that.
So I was just like coming down for a year while taking college, and then I said, what if I do my next year online? And I moved to Nashville. So that's what I did my next year of college online, and I moved down here at 19. It was hard, man. I'm from a town of 500 people, so you know, we didn't have any red lights.
That's real similar to where I grew up, man.
So you probably felt that coming, how big this was. You know, how big of a city.
Yeah, but for me, I wonder if it was this way, and I've asked this question to a lot of people. When I came, I'd bounced around for a little bit. I went to college for a couple of years and played in a couple of circuit bands and did the club scene and all that stuff around Louisiana and Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas and that Arklatex area. But you know what? When you're a struggling musician and you're young, there's not a lot of stability financially, you know. And most people aren't going to rent you an apartment because you have no job history. You know, your cash flow is kind of sketchy. So, you know, it's like you're kind of looked down on a little bit.
1,000%.
And when I came to Nashville, all of a sudden I found all these people that were just like me, and I'd never experienced that before.
That's so real.
I mean, tell me how that felt, because you know, you just kind of feel like you're just chasing a pipe dream, and a lot of your family's like, well, go ahead and get this out of your system. I was told that specifically, but to come here and realize that so many people were just like you, it's very comforting to know that you belong somewhere.
That is such an amazing way to say it, because I always felt like that. I grew up on a farm, so all my brother and my cousins, you know, they were all big farmers, and I was the black sheep. They're like, oh, he's a little singer boy, you know, like I'd always get made fun of, and so when I came here, you know, because we didn't have a music program in my school because it was so small, but I had a buddy that I grew up playing some music with. We were in the same class. When I came here, everybody is like you. You all have the same dreams and aspirations. And, you know, I think the hardest part was moving was just, you know, the one ways and the driving, you know, in the big city and feeling like, wow, I'm super small. I remember my parents dropping me off, and we had they brought up a trailer with a couch, a bed, and a TV in it. And we put it all up. I was on the third floor at a place called the Gazebo Apartments, and
sounds fancy.
We moved. It was not. It was not. The Gazetto is what we called it. We could move it up to the third. I was on the third floor. We put everything in, and my parents drove home that same day. And I remember just sitting up there on that couch and just like almost crying, just being like, "What did I just do? I don't know anybody. I'm in this apartment complex that's bigger than my town."
It's a very humbling experience, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was, though. I just felt like I was finally where I belonged when I came here.
Yeah.
That was just the creativity and the understanding of the peers, and I made so many friends early on. I mean, What did you? I mean, Lower Broad was just kind of really getting rolling 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you kind of indulge in that and hang out down there?
So that's what I did. I remember like my first week here, I sat on my little MacBook Pro and I played like 40 songs into it on my acoustic. And I made a CD and I had these envelopes and I put my card, a list of all the covers that I knew, and I put that CD in it. And I walked down all of Lower Broadway at like 11 a.m. and went in and said, "Hey, is your music director here?" And they're like, "Nah, just leave it on the table." And I remember I walked into Tootsie's and they're like, "Yeah, he's upstairs." And I went up there and handed him my packet that I made. I hope nobody has that CD anywhere because it's probably terrible. And he said, "Hey, you want to sing?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I tell you what, I like the way you look. You go up tomorrow, come by at 2:00. And I was like, all right. So yeah, I played Lower Broadway for almost 2 years at Tootsie's and that little circuit down there, Honky Tonk Central, all that stuff. And, it was a great way. I always tell everybody I went to Honky Tonk school of just like how to perform and when there's nobody and how to sing when the room's packed. But I was only 19, so I couldn't do the late. I could only do 6 to 10 and I couldn't do the 10 to 2 where the real money was being made because I wasn't old enough. At that time. But yeah, Lower Broadway was really, really fun. I had I made a lot of friends early on that we would kind of play those circuits to get better.
I think it's important for a young artist to cut their teeth. And, it seems it's very fragmented nowadays, the way that people's journey takes them into success in the music business. Some people find their way through social media. There's not as many people that are grinding it out in the clubs and stuff. I mean, the whole Texas scene is still vibrant down there. There's still a lot of nightclubs and things. But most people are finding success online. And that parlays into getting label attention. If you don't have the million viewers and stuff on TikTok and people that are following you, it's really hard to get a label to look at you. But I don't think there's any substitute for stage time. Getting on stage and learning how to navigate a crowd and learning how to keep people on the dance floor or hold their attention. And you can't do that by any way but actually doing it.
You got to do it.
Yeah. And it's not karaoke either.
No, it's an art. It's a learning curve of like, well, I did that today. And that fell flat on its face. Tomorrow I need to try a different, way to get them to dance, or what can I say that's going to, because I think what I learned real quick is I'm not a good enough singer just to sing at people. Like I can't sit up there and catch people's attention. I got to sing with them. I got to create an atmosphere together with the crowd and everything to create a community while we're on stage. And that took me years to figure out of just like, I'm not going to get up there and I ain't going to Chris Stapleton you. I can't, I'm not that kind of wow of a singer. And I had to learn who I was and what that art was for me. And I'm still learning that. What
were those influences from the artists that you brought with you that were part of the tapestry that have made your voice what it is?
Yeah. So Josh Turner was a big deal when I was 16 because I grew up in the church singing. And, when he came out with like, Me and God and Long Black Train, and those were songs because I was singing in church at 13, 14, leading worship. And I could sing a country song. That's what was so cool to me is that I could learn one song and I could play it, Long Black Train at the bar when I was 17, or I could lead it at worship, and so that was really cool. And obviously Alabama, my first song I ever heard was Born Country. And that was a song that just really sunk in. My grandpa, we had a farm on the west side of our little hometown we grew up. And it's where his dad grew up, and he called it Down Home. And it's been in our family for over 100 years.
Wow.
And so that line, got 100 years down home running through my blood. I was like, this is life. This country music is my life, and that was one of the first lines. And then I think about like my dad had this old mixtape with that song, and he had John Anderson's You Look Better Than Money in a Bank. Like that was another song that just sticks with me of like, those were my first hearings of that. And then, Josh Turner, Brooks and Dunn, Trace Atkins was another one of those guys with baritone voices that I would try to go out and mimic when I was singing cover band stuff.
And it's something, I mean, as you're developing, if you're like me, I used to listen to where they took the breath. I mean, I would study every vocal from all the people that influenced me, and really learning how to get all those licks and where to put the vibratos, and just study everything to minute detail. I was obsessive compulsive about it.
Well, I think what I struggle with, I try to sound just like them.
And that's a problem.
And so when I came to town, like I listened back to my first tapes and I was Josh Turner, trying to be.
But at some point, I think when you have several different influences, after you stop doing all those cover tunes, it's good to go back and touch on them again and pull them out of homage and stuff during the show. But I think at some point, all that stuff kind of takes shape, and then you become who you are.
That's so. I read this book. Somebody told me, and I'm not a big book reader, just being honest. Like I just don't have patience. But it's called "How to Steal Like an Artist," and it was this. I mean, it wasn't very long, but it had like big words in it. And I got this book and I read it, and it just really opened my mind, because it talks about exactly what you just said. It was talking about how, the Beatles wanted to be Elvis, and they tried to sound just like him until they found out who they were. Kobe tried to be MJ until he realized, I can't be him, but I'm Kobe, and it's really this amazing way of laying it out in your head where you're like, oh man, I'm going to pull from all these people that I love and be me, and that's exactly what you were just saying, which is
without a doubt. Have you found yourself, I mean, I'm bad about this. If you'll go back and listen to some of my earlier stuff, like Find Out Who Your Friends Are, you can tell that that's a Casey Beathard song. I mean, for people that are not in the music business, Casey Beathard is a very prominent songwriter, but he does all of his own demos. And I had a bad habit for a long time of when I got really connected to a song, when somebody pitched me a demo, that I would actually sound like the guy that sang the demo. I mean, you could hear certain nuances in there, and I was real bad about it. I had to really try to break myself from that over the years. Bad about doing that with Kenny Beard and some of the early guys that I wrote with that would do a lot of my demo work. I mean, you just find yourself kind of doing that instinctively.
It's really easy. I write a lot with a buddy named Jordan Walker, and he had my last single, Tough People, and he has a lot of songs we're going to have on this new album, but it's hard when we're out on the road to just get in and even sing a demo for me these days. And especially because your voice is, you try to save it when you're home. And so he sings a lot of my demos. And when I'm in there cutting, I'm like, I'm singing it just like Jordan. What am I doing here? I got to try to sing it like me a little bit, know, but it is nice to find those people that you think are
kind of in your wheelhouse.
They're in my wheelhouse. Yeah. When he sings something, it feels like how I would sing it. And I'm like,
and there's something to be said about letting stunt singers go in and then kind of stealing some of the licks you might not have thought of yourself.
Yeah.
Because we all do it, man.
And it's, this is my first time like actually getting writers pitching songs to me. Because,
really?
Because, I wrote everything pretty much except a couple of songs, because these days writers, and I get it, they want a chance at radio. And so I didn't have that radio success until last year with She's Somebody's Daughter, which we had to do independently, which you know a lot about.
Yeah, I want to talk about that here in a little bit too.
And so I didn't have writers being like, hey, bro, sing my song, because why would they? Because it was like I was putting songs out on Spotify and that stuff. Yeah. Well, they ain't getting any money from that. They want radio hits. So after Daughter, we had our first #1 with that. And now it's been fun to be like, wow, I'm actually feel like people are sending me songs, buddies are sending me songs that they're like, hey, we have a chance here where Drew could take this to radio, and the songs have gotten a lot better from my like A-list writers and things.
Well, and you'll find that too, the more success you have, you'll go from getting D and C drawer stuff pitched to you to getting A and B stuff pitched to you, and you're already kind of getting there once you have success on the radio.
Yeah.
And because it's, you got to think about this too. Back in the 90s, when I was playing the chart game, I mean, to get to the top of the charts was 12 to 14 weeks.
That's
I was
crazy.
getting 4 singles a year, dude. I was cutting an album every year and a half. I mean, over a 10-year period, you can accumulate a body of work. I mean, I had a whole sack full of #1 records through that period of time. The last #1 that I had was on the charts for 52 weeks. Now it's not uncommon for a
That's
record to be
normal.
on the charts for a year.
Yep.
How does a young artist build up a body of work for longevity that you can go out and work with when you're getting a single a year? By the time you get done with one single, you're ready to cut another record.
You can't.
So the cost of recording a record and the return on your dividends, because you don't get album sales like you used to. Streaming doesn't pay anywhere close to album sales. I mean, so it's kind of off balance as far as what I can see.
Yeah, and what I learned is, doing the independent game of like She's Somebody's Daughter, I own that, so I own the master.
Yeah.
And that's the game that we're all in right now in Nashville, of owning the master. And, as when I signed my first record deal, I only got 4 points of that master. They use points to make it sound cool, but you got 4%. Or no, 16%. I got 12%. Sorry, 12%, because my 4 points went to my
But you're not
producer.
even getting 12% off 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
They're paying you off 89%.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly.
So you're getting screwed.
You're getting screwed.
Yeah.
But what was so cool about nowadays is, for an artist out there, you can put some songs out and own those masters. The writers aren't making what they need to make, but as an artist, if you put a couple grand into a song, produce it out, and you put it up on Spotify and you get some looks, you're going to end up making some money. And if you get a body of work out there, and that's not radio driven, that's just, hey, I'm going to put it out in Spotify, Apple World, you can end up looking up and be like, oh, wow, I'm making a living that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And when we had She's Somebody's Daughter doing that, I remember our first month check from that, streams that went viral or whatever, and being like, wow, I call it magic. It was just like, this is in here. How? And I would go back and look, and it's like, oh, because we own the master now. That's not going to a label. That is going to us. And so I think the world is, which is exciting, very shifting in the music industry these days, where I think artists can come in, if they build enough business, to partner with the label and be like, hey, I have this business going, come in and make my business better, but let's split this master. Let's talk what this looks like. I don't want 12%. As you know, you have to pay that back, all that stuff. No, let's just split this up front.
I think that's how Jelly Roll went about it when he came in and did his deal, because I think he had enough leverage that he didn't even do the 33 1/3% deal.
Yeah, he was like, I'm pretty sure
I think he got control of it.
He got control of it. Probably pays for his own stuff still, where the labels ain't out cost. And that's what's just so cool, is we're in a world now where it's kind of the Wild West.
It is, but it's kind of strange too. It's really hard for me to gauge, because I came up through the period where radio was king, and you're surviving off airplay, and now if you get something to go viral, which can have a huge impact on your career, how do you figure out how to do it again?
Yeah.
There's really no method to it. It's just kind of the luck of the draw. Things happen, and you might spend the next 5 years and not be able to recreate that.
Yeah, you're based off an algorithm,
Yeah.
And I think it's what a dream artist wants is both. Like this song that we had was going viral, and it was doing millions and millions of views over here. But we didn't get the recognition till it was on radio. We didn't sell the tickets till it was on radio. We didn't get the opening slots till it was on radio. We didn't get the bus. We didn't get all these things. Radio is still such a massive driver that all of us artists dream and want to have, and it's so hard. It's so hard to get airplay. But at least there's a business that can happen over here
that can bring attention to you.
I
mean, it does. It all kind of fits together. At least I think it does.
And it's like, once you get a song going viral, you're like, okay, I got that. Now I want the radio. And I have so many friends that are like, okay, we're big on social media, but we dream of country radio. And now it's like, okay, I have friends that are country radio working. Well, it's not working as well on socials, and then the dream is they all connect. The dream is it's Lainey Wilson, where it's working on socials. It's working on radio.
And everything you put on an album is not necessarily meant to go to radio. There are things that are obscure that people gravitate to that might strike a chord with people on social media that just don't fit the country format out there.
Yeah,
Hardy's found a way to do it. Morgan Wallen, I mean, they're releasing so much stuff all the time, but just a small percentage of it's going to radio.
And that's what I think is the future, is like, because you were saying, how do you build a business off 52 weeks on radio? Because we're learning that now. It's like our last song took 8 months, and we put one song out, ended up putting one song out in 2 years. And it's like, how can I continue to build a business? Well, it's like, there's so many different avenues. You have XM. If I can get a song on XM, a song on radio, a song on this playlist, and a song on that playlist, well, all of a sudden business
But
is
it's
growing.
so hard to gauge from that business mentality about how actually many impressions you get on people, because the thing about radio, as it goes through the chart progression and the spin count increases, then you're getting more impressions on people throughout the day, and that changes the way a person perceives that music. When you're just, it's over here and it's over here and it's over here and it's over here, it's really hard to gauge without that radio play to validate the success and how far it went
Yeah.
up the charts. It's really hard to gauge.
And I
At least
think
it is for me.
it's so hard for these days to know what a hit is.
Absolutely.
Like
And when do you leave it? How long are you leaving in the set? Was it a hit? Do I take it out? Do I go to something else off the record,
Yeah.
or do I leave it in? It's really hard to gauge. For
It
me.
is, and it's really hard. You can even see it at award shows
Yeah.
these days. I feel like when I used to go to award shows, and now when I go, people are playing songs that the crowd's not screaming, and then Alan Jackson will come out and sing one, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very hard to gauge what a major hit is. I mean, you can have number one songs at radio that are still like, was that as big a hit as this Zach Bryan song that streamed 500 million times? I don't know. It's wild. But it's also exciting that it's open to so many artists. There's like, hey, if you're a talented person, you can get heard and have your music and make a business where you can go out on the road and you can have fans come out.
I want to hear about your journey through your own release, and talk about how you approach your promotion staff. Because from what I understand, when She's Somebody's Daughter, you released that, you were not on a major label. Everything was done independently by you. So I know the process, but I want to hear exactly what you did. Where did you get your promotion staff from? How did you set up your label business? How did you work radio? What were the things that you did, and who helped guide you through that?
Yeah, so She's Somebody's Daughter was such a journey. I put it out in 2019 on an old record label who closed down 3 months after I put the song out on Spotify. And me and my wife got married 21, and that was the song. I made a wedding version so she could dance to it with her dad. That was it. And we put it up on socials, and it went boom. And it was getting millions of streams a week. And I was going these label meetings like, hey, this is working. And they're like, yeah, but you had 4 failed singles. Like, why would we want to take this on? And so it got to the point 2023 where I was, there was a radio guy named Tim Richards who was out of Phoenix.
I know Tim.
And me and Tim were always close. And I stayed close to radio back when I was at my old deal in 2018. And I love radio. I love people at radio. We have such great relationships. I played so many shows. I did 3 or 4 radio tours, and I just didn't have a song that they could get behind. And I remember sitting with him, and we were just talking. He's like, what you got? And I was like, man, I got this song. I put it out in 2021. I know it was first out in 2019. Then the wedding version was 21, but I know it's working. I see it streaming millions a week, but nobody in Nashville, I can't get them to care. I need a record deal. He's like, why do you need a record deal? He's like, you know radio, call them. So what I did was I just called all my friends at radio and said, hey, I got this song. And they're like, we know it. I said, who would you hire? Who's your favorite people that are out of jobs right now? Because at this time, labels were making such transitions of firing radio staff and firing and I could see it. You know, we get this thing for listeners out there called Country Air Check, and it shows who's losing jobs or who's transitioning jobs. And I saw all of these promo staffs getting turned around. And so I just called radio friends, like, who would you hire? And then I got all these names, and I just cold called people and would be like, hey, I got this song. You know,
so you basically put your own independent promotion staff together.
I put my own team together. I called everybody that was out of jobs that had the best. I called probably 40 radio people around the country and said, who's the best that's out? And then I would see the names that would keep popping up, and I start with them and work my way down. And so I didn't want to go after an independent team, because I felt like when I talked to people, they would always say, yeah, there's this independent team, but we don't know how seriously we take them because they always bring us whatever. And I was like, well, I don't want to just go with that then. I want my own team that's mine, that's not working anything else, that I can say, this is my staff. When they're calling you, you know it's about Drew Baldridge, you know? So I got Royce Risser, who was the head of Universal for years. Somebody gave me his number and I called, and he just lost his, gig at Universal. And I was like, Royce, if you want back in this, like, let's start something. I'll even give you a pension of this song to help me. And he was like, dude, I'm on, I don't want to be in this right now. I just got out of it. But if you can call this guy named Louis Newman, if you can get him on board, you'll be off to the races. And so I called him and he never answered. And Louis is an old guy he was in the business in the Southeast forever. And everybody I talked to was like, Uncle Lou, because they all called him Uncle Lou. And he was retired for a few years. I never heard anything from him. And I was writing one day and I looked down, I'm getting a FaceTime from Louis Newman. I pick it up and he said, hey, it's Uncle Lou. What you doing, cowboy? We going to run a song up the radio chart or what? I'm tired of sitting on my butt here. He said, let's go. And I was like, all right. So I got him, and then another radio guy called me and said this other girl named Shelly was out of a gig. She was at another label called Records, and everybody at radio loved her hard work and her passion. And so I called her and hired her. And my West Coast rep was hard. I went through 3 or 4 of them because every time I'd hire one, another major label about 3 weeks later would pick them off because they saw what we were doing.
Yeah.
And then I'd hire another one, and then the major label would pick them off because they saw what we were doing. And finally I ended on a lady named Gwen Foster, who was amazing and really helped me. And I had a Midwest rep for a while, and I ended up realizing I didn't really need a Midwest rep because the Midwest is so slow to come on. It was like top 40 will be there. I was like, well, dang, we're in the 60s. How, let's divvy up these locations differently, where I'll just go down to 3 reps where I can afford that more and divvy up. For everybody out there, it's kind of like sales. If you want to sell Nike shoes, you're going to have your rep work the Northeast, all the stores.
Did you have some financial backers?
No, I funded it.
Well, I'm confused, and because I know, I'll give you, and I'll tell you what it cost me for friends, because when I left the Universal group out there and I released Find Out Who Your Friends Are, like I said, that record was on the charts 52 weeks. We spent about $250,000 on that single, and actually had independent staffs, hired a second staff when I got inside the top 10.
Yeah. But
it's very expensive to function. I won't say who it was, but I've got another friend in the business that several years later released a song. It was like 2016, 17, something like that. I think they spent $750,000 and barely got it top 20.
Yeah.
So it's a very expensive process to try to promote a record by yourself.
It's so hard. And that's why I always tell everybody, for me, it cost me almost $500,000. And how well did you get the return on your investment from record sales? Yeah. So She's Somebody's Daughter was streaming so much, it's streamed now over 150 million times.
Wow.
And so I own that. So every month I get a check. And I remember just praying. Well, I have a little boy that was 6 months old at this time. And I remember going downstairs just crying some nights. Like, he would sleep in the middle of us, and I'm thinking, man, I'm spending his college tuition a month. Hiring people and figuring this out. And this is my dream. This is selfish. This does not feel right. And my wife was always right. She believed in the song. She said, just don't tell me how much we're spending. She goes, I believe in you and I believe in this.
Terrifying.
But don't tell me how much you're spending. So I was the only one, me and my business manager, that knew what was going out. But somehow every month, by the grace of God, the song would stream more than what I needed it to. And so I knew I would take all that streaming money and I'd dump it right back in. Every month I would take that money and I would put it right back. And there was some months that I outdid it a little bit, but I made it up on other months. But, that's why I was telling everybody, if you can get a catalog out and to stream, you can have ways to fund. I mean, that's what labels are doing.
What were the other things that you were doing along through the whole process? I mean, as far as social media, did you have a digital team? Were you posting by yourself? Did you have a producer? I mean, what was the other part of your infrastructure?
Yeah, I was posting I would make it my job, an hour a day dedicated to social media. And I was doing all the posting. I was coming up with the ideas, but She's Somebody's Daughter had this trend going called the daughter trend that I didn't even start. Like, girls just started doing it, and their videos were getting millions of views. And
wow.
TikTok I was just going in and duetting the ones that would work. Like, girls coming home from war, seeing their dad for the first time. Well, in the background would be She's Somebody's Daughter. And then I would go in and I would duet that, and then my video would get millions of views. And then I would go surprise people weddings, and I would take them along on the journey of saying, hey, look, I'm independent. I'm doing this. I'm sending it to radio. You guys want to get behind me and enjoy, like, let's do this journey together, and I'll show you what it's like, you know. And then I would say, we're top 50. Hey, we're top 40. You know, this is the struggle. This is what it's really, how hard it is to get a song played at radio these days. And so I just showed everybody the journey and kept them engaged along with playing the song clip, coming up with different things to say underneath it. Because I think what we struggle with as creators, and I see so many young artists do this, is there's all this build up to getting a song out. They're all like, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, our song's coming out. 2 weeks, it's coming out. Well, then when it's out, they don't post it hardly. It's like, oh, we got that saved and we moved on. I was posting Daughter. This was 5 years later. It became a #1 at radio, but I was posting it all those years, and every video that I would do with it would reach new people every time, hundreds of thousands of new people. Like, I could still post it today and we would reach hundreds of thousands of new people, because at the end of the day, there's so many people. What is it, 7 billion people in the world or whatever, and these apps reach them all. And so, like, even if your video reaches 10 million people, there's a lot of people out there that still haven't heard your song.
Absolutely.
And so what's the purpose of being like, oh, I've posted that too much? Nah, man, you haven't. Like, especially on these For You pages and these TikToks, if you're posting it to the actual page, that's different. But if you're going out to everybody, send it like every couple of days. If you need, especially if you're owning that master, every time you post it, that's going to turn into some, if it works, that's going to turn into some money for you and your career and your family.
Wow.
Do you put different hashtags on it each time you post it? Or?
I think the hashtags things is, I would always just put hashtag She's Somebody's Daughter. So when people would click that, they could go through and see all the videos that it was. But then, you know, we have a single like Tough People that got top 10. I couldn't get that to go viral. I was trying so hard and I couldn't get it to go viral, but it was working at radio way faster than Daughter did. And that was, you know, so I saw both sides of the radio game working and the social media not working. And at first the social media was working and I couldn't get radio on board until they saw it actually researching for them. And then it worked. So I'm interested to see, we got a brand new song with Emily Ann Roberts, who I love. That's
She's the sweetest little thing.
Oh,
bless her heart.
We were up till 2 a.m. last night shooting a music video, and she is incredible at social media. Like, she is one of the best. And so we got a song that's out July 25th, and it's going to be interesting to see like how that works, social media driven, if we take it to radio, all those things. So there's so much to think about these days but it's nice because I still have my promo staff. I've kept them, and they work Tough People with me because I'm partnering
in conjunction with the record label.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I partner with BMG. It's like I'm keeping my staff.
Absolutely.
They are amazing. They
Very
are
smart.
And also too, how do I look them in the eye and say, hey,
You got me here, but now I'm going to leave.
peace out.
Yeah.
Here's you know,
But
thank you.
You know, and I always used an independent promotion stuff, even the years that I was on Atlantic. Always.
Oh, wow.
I always
That's
did.
awesome. I didn't know that.
Because there would I can tell you that without that extra push behind it, I wouldn't have all the hits that I have.
That's
because
amazing.
the label's got 4 or 5 other artists that they're working with,
Yeah.
and they'll get you as far as where it starts to get relevant. They'll say, "Oh, let's move on to another single." Now, my managers and our promotion staff always push through. I mean,
That's so awesome.
Don't ever let them move you out, because you need to keep people that have priority for you.
And that's what's been so cool is you know, now that I'm in between single cycles right now, I have my promo staff. We've kind of created our own little independent team. So we're working Jelly Roll and Brandon Lake single called Hard Fought Hallelujah. And my team is working that to country radio.
Nice.
And so it's kind of fun to have your own promo staff for songs that you believe in, or people that you're friends with, like Brandon or Jelly, you know, and that's cool too, to be like, hey, our team, it wasn't a fluke. Like, we got top 40 with this now.
Yeah.
And like, this is also a little pride of like, look at my little staff go,
Yeah.
you know, it's cool.
So when did you? So you're at Broken Bow now, right? Or is it a joint venture?
Yeah, so we are about to sign the deal. The Tough People was just like a licensing deal to see if we all enjoyed it, and I love them. I'm so excited to not have to be
So
my own
John
label.
Loba.
John Loba, yeah.
I've known John for years. Yeah.
John Loba, Joe Jamie, and then Adrian Michaels is the
Yeah.
head of the promo over there, and we're doing like a partnership where my team will still be involved, and I can have them help with our singles and stuff, and they're, I think, the best label for artists because that's where Jelly's at too, and they get it. They're like, hey, you put a lot of time into this. This is your baby. Like, let's come alongside of you and let's help.
It's good to
push
know
this.
that there are labels like that, because I had a couple of bad experiences. The labels sometimes forget that you are a creative person. And from a business side of it, I understand that, because a lot of times the label will come in and say, okay, their whole intent primarily is they're focusing on words. They want a duo, they want a group, they want a male act, they want a female act, they want that to cover those categories.
Yeah.
And that's what they're looking at. And when you get into that place, they often get heavy-handed and want to dictate what they want you to cut and what their vision is for their overall roster. And it becomes so much less about you, the artist, than it is about their vision about what they're building on that record label. You can get really lost in that mess.
And I feel like my first deal I did, hardcore, like did a lot of lost of like, hey, down to the fact where they're like, I don't like that guitar in the song, and then you're like going back and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that, but let's take it out for them, and I think they've not been that way. They've been so kind, and because I think they're like, hey, you got here, you did this, trust your gut, go do it. Like, we're going to be here, we're going to put our opinions in, but like, and there's a lot more people that you want to be on board. You want them excited, but it is fun to be like, hey, I think they trust my gut a little bit more because we did the independent thing for so long and we had success at it.
So, coming from a self-run independent situation, and I'm going to ask this because of young people out there, and we've kind of covered a lot of things about giving insight into people that dream about coming to Nashville. From outside looking in, your perspective of what a record label is, and how different was it? How many different factions of it? So, for example, if you took a wheel and spoke system and you set yourself in the hub and you say, okay, this is my wheel, I'm on this record label. So in that record label, they got a promotion staff, they got a publishing department, they got sales, they got A&R, they got all this of that whole wheel system. Which parts do you really grasp that you're comfortable with? Which things are you still learning? And which things were surprising to you?
I feel like now I got a pretty good grasp on it. I think what's tough now is, everybody wants to be on these playlists, and playlists are still hard. And by playlists, I mean Apple, Spotify, and, for so many years up until, there's only been a handful independent number ones, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
You've done it. Garth's done it. And Low Cash just did it. And we did it. And they held that radio game, labels did, very closely, of like, this is our baby. And that's what I felt like when Daughter was streaming. That's all they had on me was a promo staff.
Yeah.
And so when I hired my own promo staff, it's like, hey, we're a working label. But now what I'm seeing is their labels are learning the playlist game. They're taking ownership of this.
So do they have a department set up
They
internally
do.
at Broken Bow just for that?
Just for what they call DSPs.
And so how big of a staff? Is it just one or two people that just work Spotify that have relationships?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and my manager's here, he probably knows, probably like they have an Apple staff, a Spotify staff, and a Amazon staff.
I had no idea. I haven't been in a label system for a long time.
Yeah, so and that's honestly what's the problem is with our system is that labels only make money when it streams. Labels don't make money when it's on the radio. The songwriters do. So why, as a label person, when I'm going in and I'm saying, I want to take this song to radio, well, I need to see it streaming enough that I'm making an income off streaming as the master owner before I take it to radio, because I don't make income off the radio because the songwriters make the money at radio. So there's a big issue going on in our, I can't say it's an issue, it's a hand in hand, but like, why would I, as a label owner, like if I have a promo staff and I own this master, why would I take this song to radio if I'm not going to see a return on it?
But see that there's always been some issues like that. I was always frustrated with the record labels because they would never see the value in outside sponsorships and things. They said it didn't affect their business model, didn't have anything to do with their bottom line. I disagree on all that. Everything is branding. It's all relevant in the growth of you as an artist. It's all relevant to that song wherever it gets heard. I don't, and sometimes I think labels can be a little short sighted on that stuff.
Yeah, and that's where I think, some labels come in and say, we need to see 6 million streams a week. And you're like, man,
Yeah.
you don't need that many. If you start seeing some reaction, you could send it to radio and test the waters. And there's still labels out there that do it. And like I'm just saying though, what I'm seeing is this DSP world runs the label world more than what radio's been running the world the last couple years, because they're making more money than they ever have. I could say, I'm probably, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking if I, as a label head, if I have just one song that's done 100 million streams and I've seen what it's made, because you can do about, I think on Spotify, it's about $4,100 per million streams. Well, if you're owning all these masters of all these artists as Universal and they're doing 100 million streams a week, I mean, we can do the math on that just on Spotify or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Apple pays more, Amazon pays in the middle. You start seeing all this really, and I'm probably talking way too much business stuff here.
No,
so
that's
I
all right.
apologize.
That's what I love.
And so I think like all of that, that's where their income's coming from. So as a smart business like they are, they're going to want to own that system. I would, if I could have be on every playlist, I would want that, because that's where an income of a master owner is going to come from. And then radio is vital for an artist. Like, we want to be on that, but that's not their number one priority right now. But BMG, where I'm at, that's the most radio friendly label out there. That's why I want to be there. Loba, Joe Jamie, all those people believe in radio. I'm proud to be there. I believe in radio. I want to be on country radio all the time because I saw my life change when that happens. I just think sometimes labels shouldn't lose the value of that, because that's where we're selling tickets. That's where people are still saying, hey, this artist you need to watch. They're the ones on the microphones that are saying, this guy's amazing. It's not just a song on a passive playlist in a Walmart. This is people actively listening.
What other things are going on internally? Do they have their own social media team? Has that changed from you posting by yourself? Do you have a creative staff that's helping you put stuff together?
Yeah, they'll send me ideas and stuff, but I think every artist should go in with their own brand and know what it is. Like, it's vital for an artist to get off the ground these days to work social media. And I think even people that have been around for a while are now, you'll probably see them going back and working social media, because that's where it's free advertisement. It's just your time, And so I think what you'll start seeing is, if people at a label are working your socials, they're not going to do as well as if you found out what worked for you. Just like your music, like your music ain't going to do as good if you don't care what the production is, if you're not working with your producer to make it you. I think you got to find out your brand on your socials, and that's what you stand for, and that's who you are, and you're putting it out every day, and that's what's going to gravitate people more towards your tickets and more towards your music, is what you put out into the world. So I think, yes, we do have a team there, and it's really nice for them to bring in ideas, but I still post. Like,
Gotcha.
I still am very active on, hey, let's try this, but I do love the insight that they bring in. I'm like, hey, that might work. Let's try it. But I think as an artist, you still have to be very involved in that brand. I do anyways. Maybe not everybody, but for me, I do.
And it's different for everybody. I didn't come up in the social media stuff. I found a way to find certain things that I'm comfortable with to make it work, but I'm not a guy that's going to post every day. I might do it every now and then. They might send me something. I make comments, but this format here has helped me find an entry point in where I'm comfortable with it, and I'm not having to do it every day.
Also, I'll be scrolling and I'll see these on my social. And so like this is on your social media.
Perfect for
this
me.
is incredible.
Yeah.
This is incredible. And this is so good because it stops me. I've watched so many of your interviews with
you
people.
know, and for me too, it's allowed me the opportunity to make relationships with young artists and things that I wouldn't really have. I mean, if we were at a festival or something, we might see each other in passing.
Yeah.
But as far as being able to sit down and do this, now the next time I see you, we can sit down.
Hey,
we can have
man.
a beer. Hey man, it's good to see you again,
Yeah,
brother.
totally.
And it's been that way with, you know, like Priscilla and Jelly and all these other folks that I've had a chance to sit down with and become good friends with over the years. It's made that transition really cool for me, and I've enjoyed the whole process a lot. It's been a lot of fun.
No, man, this has been so amazing.
So let's talk about something fun. You brought it up early that you finally got your bus, man.
Man,
Hey, tell me about getting on the bus, man. There's something about hearing that diesel engine fire up every
it
weekend,
is, man. I want to just be on the bus all the time.
I know.
We get back from runs, and I'm like, boys, let's rip it again. Let's go, boys. It's so much fun, and it feels like
Us against the world.
us against the world. It really does, man. You're in the back. You know, I got a little 2-year-old and my wife, and so we can break that down, put a little bed in the back, and they came out with us this last weekend, and that has never been a thing. I've not been able to travel with my family because I'm in a Sprinter. I was in a Sprinter van for 12 years, you know, with 7 dudes. And so we're back there and we're riding along, and me and my wife and my little boy, and my wife looks at me and says, "Look at us. Look at this. We feel like we're in a movie. You know, we got the windows up, seeing the world go by, and my little boy's got his hand on the glass, watching the world go by, and it's like, this is what you dreamed about when you're 16, writing songs on the edge of your bed. You know,
You'll look back on it as you get older too, believe me. There's things that'll pop back up in your mind, and those memories will come back to you so freaking vivid, man. I promise you they will. Because I remember that early stuff too, when it was all new, and man, your eyes are all big, and it's like the first really nice hotel that you stay in, your first trip to New York, and your first time out to Vegas, and just all these big festivals and things, getting on stage in front of 40, 50,000 people, man. It's those things that are just, they burn in your brain, don't they?
they do. And this last weekend we had a problem with the generator.
That's
I mean,
cool. Get used to that.
But what's amazing is, like, my tour manager came back and said, "Problem with the generator. What are you gonna do about it?" I said, "Not my problem now." Like, driver's out figuring it out, you know, and the bus company is figuring it out. Because I used to be underneath there with our Sprinter. They'd say generator problem. I'd be down there. I'd be under there trying to figure it out. And all right, let's take the air filter off. You know what I mean? And so now it's like, hey, problem with the generator. All right, well, the driver's out there doing it. And so it's just things like that where I'm like, I can focus on my career. Like, after every show now, my guys come in and we break down the show. Hey, you messed up in that spot. I messed up in this spot. This could be better. That could be better. And before it was, we'd get in there and we'd spin the circle of death and see who's driving at 3 a.m. And then you'd go back to you'd lay down in the van and we just, like I said, it's only been about 6 weeks of having a bus. And I'm like, I don't ever want to go back. let's keep having some hits so we can stay in the bus, God, please.
You know, and I used to enjoy it a lot. I mean, I'll typically fly out and catch the bus. I don't ride across the desert anymore. But I mean, I remember those days, man. Bus trips across New Mexico and Arizona and stuff, man. It's just such beautiful countryside. There's so many amazing parts of this country that we just take for granted. And being able to ride through during the day when you got a 3-day run going across the West, man, it's phenomenal out there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just settle in the bus, mix you a glass of whiskey.
Yeah, just sit back, sit
along.
down. Yeah, and that's
awesome.
been such a blessing. We got a video of me walking on the bus for the first time. I look like a little kid now. I don't know how. Like, you know, we're just renting this bus right now, but they gave me a nice one. I don't know how I got a nice one. But I remember walking on there, and I was thinking it was going to be older or whatever. And I get on there, and my manager standing next to me. I said, "This is ours. This is the one they gave us. Why'd they give a little new artist this nice one?" You know, and so it's just been like every day we talk about it because, like, you know, you're at these county fairs. There's not a lot of green rooms and things, so we would be sitting in our van, with the AC on, sweating to death, and now we just get on here. It's like, oh man, it's 65 in here. man, what will we do without the bus? What will we do without the bus? So, oh man, I don't ever want to go back. It's amazing.
It really is amazing. I don't know what it is, man. It's just something about the vibe of it. It just becomes part of the culture of being on the road, and there's a comfortableness about it, especially the more years and more time you put in. Man, you just get very comfortable in the space. It's pretty cool existence.
And I can just keep half my show clothes in the back and all my hats, and just be like, oh man, I'm ready. This is great.
What's your writing process like? Can you write on the road? Are you a schedule guy? You write a lot by yourself?
I am. It's gotten a little more hectic here lately, and I was a very scheduled guy for a long time.
Yeah.
And my publisher is Rusty Gaston. I don't know if you know Rusty or not.
Rusty. Yeah.
Rusty's been my only publisher since day one, and I love him, and so very, very scheduled guy. I was writing 3 or 4 times a week, 10 a.m., at this place. Yeah. But now it's gotten to the point where I've loved, for this record, we went and got like a house out in the country. And I took 3 days and like, hey, we're going to do a retreat. And I bring some of my best buds that I got some of my best songs with. And let's go out there for 3 days and let's just write and focus. Maybe we'll get 2 songs a day. Maybe we'll get 3 songs a day. And I found that has worked. I've gotten better songs. Because I don't know if it's not thinking, well, I got to do this at 3 o'clock today. I need to jump off and do this Zoom. And it's like, no, this is in the calendar, 3 days writing retreat. And I did 2 of them so far for this next record. And we're cutting a handful of things off those because it's so dedicated. And it's the guys that are out there that know you, the guys that have been writing with me for years that are like, hey, we've been saving this idea for you. What do you think? Or hey, here's a thing that I started with you in mind, and that has been really the game changer. Because when you're out here, you're doing podcasts, you're playing shows, you're being a dad, you're being a husband.
Life gets very distracting.
Life gets distracting. When can I create? That is,
and it takes so much of your brain power away. It's really hard to ride on the road, especially with everybody being piled up on one bus too. There's really no place to go. It's you're new into the expansion of it, but it's still. You're all piled up on top of each other still. Not like a Sprinter van, but it's.
I would love, like right now we only have 8 or 9 guys, so the bus is not full.
Yeah.
When my family comes out, it's maxed. There's too many. But like. Eventually one day I'd love to have a couple writers and try it in the back lounge. I've went out on some writing retreats with some other artist friends and have, taken over the back lounge, me and a guy, and wrote songs while they were on stage and did the thing. And I would love to try that. But honestly, when I'm out there, I'm like, when do I have time? You drive there, you show up, you do sound check, you eat, you have an interview that starts, you got to go do this thing with that person. And so as much as I want to do it, then I'm sitting here and like, well, when they're going to be on the bus riding by themselves, and I'm going to jump in every 30 minutes and throw in a couple words and have my brain somewhere else on a live show,
Yeah, it's hard to keep all that stuff separated. It's I like scheduled writes. I actually like co-writes too. I write by myself every now and then, but I like co-writes, man. There's something about the collaboration process of bouncing things off of each other, and it's almost like it's therapeutic for me.
It is.
If you got things that you're stressed about, just the opening conversation when you're sitting down with your buds and stuff, and you're talking about what's going on in the world, you're kind of purging some of those things out. If you come in, that's all. I've always found that's real fun when you come in. You really don't know exactly what you're going to do for that day, and you just sit down and you talk for about 30 minutes and just kind of see where everybody's head's at.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And a lot of times when I'm in those modes, it happens every now and then. We'll be sitting there talking, and I'll just say, we get to do this for a living. Like, we're just sitting in here talking. Like, we're writing. We're just, let's go back to teenager us and saying, we're writing songs. Like, we're in here writing a song today for a living. Like, this is what we get to do, and that's every time. A lot of times when I'm in a writing room like that, when we get to talking for a long time, I start being thankful. There's a lot of this overcomeness of like, wow, I'm in here talking today about what does the world need? What art can I add to this world to make it special? And that's really, the thankfulness really starts coming on.
Yeah. Tell me about your family, brothers, sisters.
So I got one older brother and my mom and dad and cousins. Everybody's still up in my little hometown of Patoka, Illinois, which is like 4 hours from here. And my brother still works on the farm. I've been in my family forever, and all very, very small town folks,
Yeah.
and
How big was your graduating class?
22. Yeah.
Huge, man.
22. Big old class, man. Big old class. Yeah, we had 5 girls. It was slim pickings. And one of them was my cousin. No joke. No joke.
Not first cousin, though.
No, not first cousin. She was my third cousin. Yeah.
That's all right, then.
That's
But it
amazing.
is country.
Were you how big was your class? Were you in Arkansas? Is that
I
right?
graduated in the largest class that ever came out of our high school. We had 49 graduates.
49. So
Yeah.
you know it.
Yeah, I think there was a little over 1,000 people. The population was. I graduated in '86. I think there's about 800 now.
Yeah.
It's a little small town, farm town too, right on the Red
Oh,
River
yeah.
Delta, bordered Oklahoma to the west and Texas to the south. So it was all soybeans and cotton and farmland, peanuts and all that kind of stuff, pecan orchards and things. So
Oh.
I grew up running a tractor a lot and hauling a lot of hay and
Oh, gosh, yeah.
working down on the farm.
Yeah, it
all
was
that
like that's
stuff.
where I learned to drive. I remember my brother coming
Oh
out.
yeah, I could load a lowboy full of square bales like nobody's
Oh
business,
man,
son.
yeah. I remember we did big because my grandpa had 100 head of cattle, and so we would always do big round bales. And I remember being like 12 or 13, and my brother just coming out, putting in gear, and saying, "You ain't leaving the field till you pick them all up, and you're gonna figure out how to do it." And I was like, "All right." and I'd
Daddy
be
had
out
a
there.
weird way. So we had an 18-foot lowboy, and when he did finally start cutting round bales, we'd be able to stack. We'd slide them on so we could put three round bales on a lowboy, and he would take a rope and tie it to the rail at the end and loop it around, and then tie it to a tree, and then jerk one bale off, and he'd pull around the other side and tie it again and loop it around the bale and jerk it off of the tree. That's how we unloaded
That's how you
round
did it.
bales. Yeah,
That's amazing.
redneck shit.
That is some redneck stuff right there. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I miss it.
Yeah, I always I found that as I've gotten older, I enjoy being on the tractor again. I went for a long time there. I hated everything about it. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was made to work in the garden and mow the yard and drive a tractor and bush hog and all that stuff. I hated everything about it. But as I've gotten older, I enjoy it a lot
That was
more.
when I was younger. My grandpa would always, if we slept till 7:30 in the summer, he'd come to the house, and my mom and dad's house, and be like, "Oh, that boy in there, he's lazy, ain't he? He just ain't even up yet. Out there, you should be out there working." And so I think I owe a lot of hard work ethic to it,
Yeah.
and I mean, this too, all the independent stuff you've had to do, and this music stuff is not just shiny,
It's a lifestyle and it's a grind, and it takes a piece of your soul.
it takes a piece of you. And I say it's a lot like farming, like I can't count the times, how many times our tractor would break down and we're trying to get the stuff out and harvest. And I always tell everybody, you never know what you're going to yield in this business, just like farming. And so I think about that a lot when I'm putting songs out or when work's hard, and I'm like, man, but I could be in the field slinging some square bales right now in the 100-degree heat or up at the top of a hayloft, but it's all hard work.
But you bring the same mentality into this business with the background that we both came from.
Yeah.
Whether it's when things got to get done, you got to get them done.
You just gotta get
There's
it
no
done.
quit. You just got to do it, man.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for failure, man. Sometimes you just got to put your head down and get it done.
Yeah, and I think too is like sometimes in this business, you don't know what the outcome's going to be, but you just got to do it. You got to keep your
You got to put your trust up there and just put your head down and make it happen. You brought this has kind of been on my heart. You brought up about we were talking about your son earlier and said that this was your dream. And you were wondering how they were going to cope with that something along that
Yeah.
line. And I wanted to share this with you because it may give you some insight as you raise your family. My children had a really hard time with this, and most people that I know in the business that have kids, it was years they didn't want their friends to know who I was, because they found that every time they found out who their daddy was, that people changed the way that they treated them. And my kids had a really hard time with that growing up, and it took me a long time to realize that my dream was not their dream, that all these things that I'm so proud of and things that I've accomplished don't really mean anything to them. That was my stuff. They didn't have any choice in the whole process of it. So just be conscious of that as you raise your kids, because I made a bunch of mistakes along the way.
Man, Tracy, thanks so much for saying that. I already feel that
Yeah.
sometimes.
It's real easy to get lost in it, man. And you think that you're doing everything that they need. All they want is you.
Yeah, like they're proud of me, you know, and I think I felt he was so young and didn't know it then, but I felt that. And now, like, he comes out on the road and he loves music so much. Like, we got a little guitar and he's rocking around and playing the drums. But I know there's going to come a day, like, my dad never missed a ball game.
Yeah.
And I struggle. And I talk to my wife about it all the time. And she's like, it's going to be different raising than what you had, you know? But thanks for saying that. That is, out of all we talked to, that's really powerful. That's something that I'm going to take with me for a long time.
You know, as they've gotten older too, because we tried to raise ours on the road, but then they started doing competition dance when they were young, and you know, as they get into travel ball, baseball or football, whatever it is, things become more demanding of their time. They're not going to be able to travel with you, and so there's years there that I felt like I missed out on a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's part of the sacrifice of this.
Yeah.
You know? It really is. And they come back around as they've gotten older, man. They've my youngest daughter's out here traveling with me now and doing audio engineering. And, you know, it's just, it all comes full circle, man.
Yeah. Well, that's
got to
awesome.
stay in there with it.
Yeah. That's awesome, Tracy. Thank you for saying that.
So what's coming up next for you? Tour-wise, you're out with, who they tell me you're out with?
Bailey Zimmerman right now.
Bailey.
Yeah, we're out with Bailey right
He's
now.
wild, man.
Wild man. We have a lot of fun, and you know, it's crazy. Me and Bailey grew up 20 minutes from each other.
Did you
and,
really?
And so I remember probably 5 years ago, I got a message from somebody back home. Said there's another boy back home trying to do it. And at this time I was already in Nashville for 10 years almost. And so I remember seeing that video and just thinking, man, I wish I knew somebody when I came to town. So I just shot him a message on Instagram. I was like, if you really want to do this, come on down. And here's my number. And he called me in a minute and a half, probably. Drew Baldridge, I can't believe I'm talking to you, man. This is crazy. Like, yes, I want to come down. I want to come down. And so he came down and we started writing songs out of my living room probably 4 or 5 years ago. And it's just been amazing to watch his career. You know, like you were talking right at the very beginning of this, where some people had to go out and play hundreds of shows to nobody. I don't know what's easier or harder, going out and playing a show to nobody and learning, or going out and playing sold out shows to thousands of people and never playing a show in your life. You know, so he has had to do what a lot of us didn't have to, you know, and so to watch him now out on this tour and playing for 12,000 people, it's amazing. We've had some moments of crying together of like, bro, look where you're at, because, you know, his first tour he ever did was sold out of thousands of people to come watch him. The overwhelmness of that, never playing a show, I can't imagine the weight that he's felt being in the public eye of cameras on him, watching what he's doing. And he's handled it, I think, with a lot of grace, especially now. You know, he's out here and he's not drinking. He's not doing it. He's like, I'm focused on this and I want it to work. And I'm really, really proud of watching the man that he's becoming. It's pretty
awesome.
special.
You know, it's pretty fascinating to me, sitting from this seat and all the young folks that I've gotten to talk to, for all the commonality that we share. Every journey's completely different.
Ain't it though?
There's not one that's anywhere close to the same, man.
No, none of
It's
them.
amazing to really watch and digest and have these conversations with all these different folks, man. It's fascinating.
It's so fascinating. So being out with him has been like being out with my brother, and that's been really, really fun, and we've really enjoyed it. And we've had some moments afterwards on, like, in the green room where, like, tears, you know, like, look what you're doing, man. This is so cool. Look what we're doing. We're doing our dream that we talked about. And so that tour's been awesome. We're just doing, in the middle of there, headlining our own festivals and fairs. Yeah. And then this spring we're going back out with Cody Johnson again, which is amazing. Those are just like 100%.
God, he crushes it, man.
He crushes it. He sings his butt off.
He does, and he's got so much energy on stage. We got NFR with Cody in December, so I'm looking forward to sharing the stage with him. I've seen his show once, but I hadn't got to share the stage with him yet.
Yeah, he's so great, and so playing with him, we played with him all of January and February. We did about 12 dates.
That's cool,
and that was really awesome. And right now we're just putting out music. You know, we Emily Ann Roberts, she's awesome. We got a great duet. Just came July 25th.
Has she taught you how to crochet yet?
She hadn't taught me yet. I saw your video though.
Don't do it.
We were shooting that video. We're shooting the music video last night for this song, and she goes, "What are you doing this week?" And I said, "I'm hanging with Tracy tomorrow." You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. He's amazing. He's so easy to talk to. And I said, I saw y'all crocheting or knitting or whatever. And she thought it was amazing.
She is so sweet, man. She is definitely a meemaw. She calls herself that. She is a meemaw.
Yeah. What was it? It's Yeehaw Meemaw or whatever.
Yeehaw Meemaw.
Yeah. And it was. So we have a song July 25th with her, and that's amazing.
That's awesome. Is she out on the tour with Bailey too?
No, she's not. No, I knew that this song was going to be a great duet, and I was searching and heard a lot about her, and I was coming across her videos. I was like, we're very similar people, you know, like old souls, and I knew our fans would make a lot of sense together. And I just reached out to her on social media and said, hey, I'm a fan, would love to talk about getting you on a song. She's like, here, my number, call me. And then boom, we got this song together in just a couple of weeks. And so that was cool. And then all this fall, we're going to be releasing music, hopefully gearing up for an album, hopefully at the start of 2026.
Anybody new out there that you're listening to? I mean, I don't really have my finger on the pulse of a lot of the entry level artists, but there seems to be a lot of good talent coming.
There's a lot of good talent, and you know, it's so hard because there's so many now. Like that's the one thing that's been so difficult with social media is every time you pull up your phone, there's somebody else doing it, and there's a lot of new young kids that are really coming up in a big way. Hudson Westbrook is I'm pretty sure, you know, flying up the chart. Vincent Mason is another one that's really making their way up. I mean, Emily Ann, you know, she says she's new, but she was on The Voice 10 years ago, you know, and she's been in this business for 10 years. And I think we'll see her star rise tremendously over the next 2 or 3 years. Dylan Marlowe, we're out on the road with him with Bailey. He's another one. I mean, he just had a #1, but he's another buddy of mine.
I wonder what that's going to do for the longevity of artists, though, with so many people coming out so fast. You know,
scary.
It's scary. It's like it scares me for the stability. I think it's healthy for the industry because, I mean, obviously there's so much great music coming out, but as far as each individual artist, I think it might be difficult to sustain a long career.
I feel that, and I've been feeling that for a couple of years of like, because you can go viral with one video and then not the next.
Yeah.
You know, and what was so sustainable back, you know, in the 90s and all that was radio. You got your music from the radio, and if you were on that, everybody bought your records. They knew that was a hit. They knew this song was special. They knew this is who they need to go watch. And now there's just so many. It's a widespread, which is cool, but it's also like, it's a little scary of like how do you stay the course of, you know, keeping it going if it's, you know, if this doesn't work or that doesn't work. But, you know, I guess you just keep your head down and put out the music that you love and hope people resonate with it and find it, and you can keep touring and doing your thing.
That's it. You going to take some time to deer hunt up in Illinois this year?
Man, I'm going to try.
It's hard.
Last year I did. It is so hard, man, because then, like, this is my first year I've made money on touring, you know, because we just had the number one. You
just want to get it all.
You just want to freaking get it all, you know, because as you said, I put a big investment in on this, and I want to see that return. And so last year when I had, you know, I think it was some radio stuff last year, I was like, well, I'm working the single. If I don't do this show, they're not going to play, you know, I need to show that we're a part of this, and keep the song playing at radio and all this thing. I need to do it. And so I felt like I had to do that. And now this year, am I going to take a show that's worth some money, or am I just going to say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to go hunt with my brother, you know? And growing up in Illinois, that's our Super Bowl is deer hunting season.
I understand.
And so I remember, you know, we had we only get 3 days of shotgun season. A lot of people might not know this, but in Illinois, you can only hunt with shotgun. You can't really use rifle. I think they're trying to bring some rifles in, and maybe they did over the last year, but it's so flat, they only want shotguns. And so we get 3 days. It's like the first week. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving. And it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, shotgun season. Then there's a second season like 2 weeks later. But the first season's always the best, you know. But Friday during school, they just called it deer day. We
got those too. People don't
do you
do
really?
that anymore. We did when I was growing up.
Yeah, we had deer day.
Opening day of deer season, there wasn't nobody come to class.
Nobody
anyway.
came to class.
And we ran dogs back home.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I don't know if they still get to run dogs back in Southwest Arkansas. It's man, you never get any size on your deer, man. They just run them to death, man.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'm a fan of. It was always fun.
We
when
did
were
we did
kids.
some walk drives, like push the
Yeah, just
fence
kind of push them through and have people waiting on the road.
Yeah, we did a lot of that, but you can't really. Every once in a while, you get lucky. Some buddies would get lucky and be like, get a big one. But I mean, yeah, deer day. There's so many great memories. It always used to tick me off when that basketball practice.
All the stuff nowadays. I mean, we kept our hunting rifles in our freaking vehicles and stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody had a pocket knife in their pocket. It's the whole world's changed, man.
Yeah,
it's sad.
It's
to
really
see.
different. I mean, I remember when I was in grade school, some kids just crossed the back glass of their truck.
Oh yeah,
16, 17 showing
absolutely. And
Yeah.
just hanging in the back of your truck. It wasn't no big deal.
It wasn't.
It just
now
really
that would be crazy.
Oh
Can
man,
you
they'd come
imagine?
arrest you, take you
Yeah.
straight to jail.
That'd be crazy.
If you had a chance to hunt any of the high fence stuff down in
I've
West Texas and
I've
stuff,
never
man.
hunted any high fence things.
Yeah, you need to try to find some spots to go, man. There's some amazing ranches down in West Texas. I've stumbled across a lot of people over the years, and that whole what I love about it, there's some monster whitetail down there, but their environment, they bring a lot of exotics in from India.
Oh wow!
So you have like axis and black buck and oryx and fallow, and so all these things that the temperature and the topography, I guess, are real similar to where they originate. And axis are beautiful, man.
I don't even know what that is.
They're a white body with brown speckles on them, and they have real tall horns, and the meat is phenomenal. And it's one of my favorite. It's better to me than elk is. I mean, it's one of my favorites. Black buck are little bitty tiny things. When they mature out, they're black. They have a black face, and they have two little horns.
Oh,
But
interesting.
they're little small things. They're really pretty. Fallow have palmated horns. They're a little bit somewhat in the moose family or something. You've got a nice, beautiful fallow at one of our hunts.
So good.
Oh,
No way.
God,
Good.
yeah. Some of the best spaghetti I ever made in my life was with deer.
That sounds
It's great.
amazing. I'm freaking hungry. That sounds
Golly.
great.
Yeah, I love good deer meat. Absolutely. But they're really phenomenal. It's just amazing the different types of animals that
That's
they bring
crazy.
in down in West Texas. And the Texas process, they have huge breeding facilities down in Texas. And I've hunted some ranches where I got a 22-point non-typical at one ranch I went to, and they had this buck. He was called Stickers, and he was on the cover of Archery magazine, I think, one of the hunting magazines. He looked like he had a crown on his head, dude. And these are breeding bucks. These are the ones that they
Wow.
actually have breeding operations. But in the state of Texas, you can't import deer or export. Everything that's bred in the state of Texas has to stay.
No way.
Yeah, so they contain that population real well. It's highly illegal to transport in or out of that state.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
but there's some amazing places.
Yeah, I've
down
never
there.
had a chance, to do that. I really want to. I really want to go elk hunting too. I've never had a chance to elk hunt yet. And I mean, whitetail, we just did it. Obviously, turkey and dove season.
Yeah.
I love dove season. Dove season's so much fun. It
love
takes
it
me
too.
back. So many buddies just getting together. And I love, wrap that stuff in bacon.
I miss
Throw it
that.
on the
Do y'all
grill.
have a lot of quail up in Illinois?
We
'Cause
didn't do a lot of quail, man. We didn't have a lot of it.
It kind of comes and goes. I used to have a lot of quail here on my property, and I think between the coyotes and the turkeys, because they ground nest, and so I just don't think that they've been able to hatch out. We have a bad coyote problem around here too, but I love quail.
I mean, we did a lot of coyote hunting growing up.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like many people are anymore. And
No.
well, it's just, they used to be worth some money when we were younger. Same thing with coon hunting. We did a lot of coon hunting. My grandpa, a lot of stories just sitting on a log in the middle of the woods, waiting on a dog to bark, of talking to grandpa. But then, we could go out and we'd get 5 coons and get a couple $100 or whatever, $150.
Can't do anything with it no
Can't
more.
do anything with it. So why go out and mess with them? So I just feel like our predators are way up, and
I agree.
compared to what they used to be.
Yeah. Do you fish at all? You a fisherman?
Man, it's been a while since I've just went out on a boat with some buddies and fished. But yeah, I mean,
Saltwater stuff or lake?
just
fish?
farm pond. I mean, I would just
Yeah,
go,
have you had a chance to do much saltwater stuff yet?
man, I've
You
done a
need-
handful of stuff.
Yeah.
We did this tour over right out of COVID where I lost my deal and all that, and I was alone. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I went and toured the country playing people's backyards, and I did 400 people's backyards over the course of 4 years. And I went to Alaska for the first time, and we got to go out there, and they had a boat and took me out halibut
Oh yeah.
fishing. That man, that was incredible. Like looking at the Alaskan mountains around you and reeling in these halibuts that are like, you know, this big around. It feels like you're pulling up a tire.
Yeah.
Because they're
Just dead weight.
just dead weight.
Absolutely.
Oh man. But yeah, I've done a little bit of saltwater, but you know, you probably grew up like me. You're 10, 12 hours from the ocean.
Yeah.
So where it was farm ponds. We did growing up. We had a lake to us next to us called Carlisle Lake, and it was the biggest man-made lake in Illinois. And so it was all these stumps. And what we would do is we would go out and we would geo-target these stumps where you go out and we'd call it hogging. You know, you just jump down, grab them out, you know, and you could pull out 30, 40, 50-pound flathead. You know, so we did that growing, which was always fun with your buddies because a blue cat would jump out and bite on one of your buddies' arms and he'd start bleeding and we'd make fun of him and call him a sissy. But yeah, it was that a lot of freshwater, you know, bass, catfish. We ran a lot of trout lines growing up because my grandpa's ground butted up.
You ever
right
run
up
a yo-yo? You know what a yo-yo is?
Never heard of a yo-yo.
Dude, when I first
What is a
came here-
yo-yo?
So I mean, I love to fish. So back home, I don't know if it was a local or a regional invention, but they're a little spring-loaded limb line. And you treat them just when they came to Tennessee, nobody had ever seen them. I had a 5-gallon bucket full of them. So you had a string on the top. It's a metal spool and it's spring-loaded. So you tie it onto a branch and you have a line that you can pull down. And you set a little trigger on. You put your hook on it. So you drop the hook down in the water. So you go around and you hang these yo-yos all around the tree line in a cove. And then you just sit back there with your spotlight at night and you can hear them when they go off. And they'll set the hook and they'll pull a catfish up about that far out of the water. And then you sit there and they'll flash at you because they're little silver metallic things, but you treat them just like a limb. Nobody had ever seen them when I came out here. I'd hit these lakes and go out at night, and I just tear freaking catfish up, son.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It's better than jug fishing, man. You just sit out there with your spotlight and drink a cold beer, man.
Yeah, man. This probably wasn't legal, but we used to have these at dark. We'd take these lights out and put these lights around us, and we would sit there and over the top, all the chat, like little fish would come up, and then we would go down in and get little. What was it, like little white bass and things, and we would catch buckets full of those at night. And that was, man, some great memories. I could sit here and talk to y'all about those. Those are fun.
Oh man, the frog gigging.
Frog gigging, man.
The other thing we had back home, we had it was like a trident. You know, usually everything up here is just straight prongs. We had this little thing, and it had like a trigger in the middle of it. So you would spread it open, and when you hit the frog, it would clamp down.
No way.
Yes, they were spread. They had a little trigger.
We
that
just
you'd
had
sit
the three little prongs,
and I've never seen them anywhere but back home. They're great, man.
I remember
either that or a dip net and 22 shorts. That's a great way to frog gig. You just pop the 22 shorts. Just sit out there and
shine. See their eyes.
Dip
get them done.
Net and pop them with a 22 short.
Put them in the frying pan. They'd still hop.
Oh yeah,
all their legs still
cut
hop.
That little tendon.
Yeah,
they hop out at you.
They hop out of the frying pan.
God, I miss all those things, man. You know, growing up, I enjoyed growing up in the country, man. I remember I mowed yards when I was little. I had a couple of yards in the neighborhood, and I bought my very first Zebco 33 from the Western Auto, and I would go out on Saturdays, and I'd ride my little bicycle with my tackle box and my fishing pole. I had about 5 little ponds in the area that I'd ride my bicycle. When I was 7, 8 years old, man. I mean, I loved to pond fish when I was a kid.
And that's what I struggle with now is my boy we're not in the country, you know, and he's 2.5, and we played a show in Iowa County Fair this weekend, or might have been Minnesota, I can't remember, but down the road they had a farm, and we went down there and they had horses and had hay barns, and my little boy was just loving it. You know, he was on top of these horses and riding them. And I looked at my wife, I was like, we gotta somehow get to the country. I don't know what it is, like we go home more or what, but like I loved the way that and she grew up very similar to me, like small town, 1,100 people. And so I'm struggling with him not growing up the way that and it's probably fine, you know, not everybody needs to grow up the same way, but
well, the world's changed.
It's just like, I loved frog gigging in snake infested water, like walking around knee deep in it, not even knowing, you know what I mean? Like those are some memories I hardcore go back on, and his memories will just be different, you know?
Yeah, does it make them good, bad,
Yeah.
whatever? I mean, they're just going to be different. The world's a completely different place, and you know the days of kids riding their bicycles all over town like what we did when we were kids in our little town. Kids can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
a
true.
dangerous place out there, and it's sad that the world has become what it is. And I was fortunate enough that we had enough real estate around us. My kids were able to grow up and ride the four wheelers and be able to do
See,
things.
that's just what I
in a
want.
pond
I just
here.
want that.
You know, and it's getting. I'm blessed that I was able to find this property years ago before it got stupid, because now you got to go further and further
It's
out
so-
outside of Nashville.
And it's
I
so
mean,
expensive.
It's so expensive, man, to find anything with any kind of real estate around you. You got to go
Yeah.
so far out. But there's still some beautiful places around here. Of course, you're gonna have to go an hour and a half out.
Yeah, you have to go so far out to
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah.
You got to take your little man snipe hunting. He has to have. He has to have that.
Had to have
memory.
like one snipe
He
hunt.
has
You
to
got to
have
do
one
the snipe.
Yeah,
hunt, man.
you got to take him out there in the
Absolutely.
woods. Make sure it's dark out.
Exactly. Let him get a little older first. Now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, brother, I sure have enjoyed the visit.
Thank you so much for having me.
I
This is
wish you
awesome.
all the best out there. Give Bailey our best. Y'all keep rocking it out
Hey,
there.
maybe we'll play some shows together.
I look
we'll
forward
see
to
on
it.
it. I love it.
Drew Baldridge.